Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Renuka, bringing glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. The headlines. Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi gives a clarion call to invest in science and innovation to fight global pandemics. New Delhi to return the apprehended Chinese army soldier who strayed across the LAC. Earlier, voting for the US presidential election has begun in the crucial battleground state of Florida. Australia to join the Malabar 2020 naval exercise with India, US and Japan. And Israel and Bahrain ink deal to establish diplomatic relations. Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi today said that the future will be shaped by societies that invest in science and innovation. He was delivering the virtual keynote address at the inaugural session of Grand Challenges annual meeting GCAM 2020. Mr. Modi said the journey to these innovations must be shaped by collaboration and public participation. He said science will never prosper in silos and the Grand Challenges program has understood this ethos well.
Such is the power of technology that a global pandemic did not keep us apart. This program has continued as per schedule. This shows the commitment of the Grand Challenges community. It shows a commitment to adapt and innovate.
The 3-day brainstorming program will feature leaders' talk, panel discussions, and virtual informal conversations. The topics range from scientific interventions to fight the pandemic and global solutions to counter it and prevent future one. Prime Minister Modi, addressing another event today, said that infrastructure enhancement and structural reforms over the past 6 years would transform India into a global hub in higher education sector and make the youth competitive, giving them an edge over the others.
बीते 5-6 साल ये निरंतर प्रयास हुआ है भारत का एजुकेशन सिस्टम छात्रों को 21वीं सदी की आवश्यकताओं के बीच आगे बढ़ने में भी और मदद करें। विशेष तौर पर हायर एजुकेशन में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के निर्माण से लेकर स्ट्रक्चरल रिफॉर्म्स पर बहुत ज्यादा फोकस किया गया है। भारत को हायर एजुकेशन का ग्लोबल हब बनाने के लिए हमारे युवाओं को कॉम्पिटिटिव बनाने के लिए क्वालिटेटिव और क्वांटिटेटिव हर स्तर पर कोशिश की जा रही है।
The Prime Minister stressed that reforms have provided greater autonomy to the educational institutions to take decisions according to their needs. Indian Army has apprehended a Chinese soldier in Chock sector of eastern Ladakh. The Defence Ministry of India said in a statement that a People's Liberation Army soldier was apprehended today after he had strayed across the line of actual control LAC. The soldier has been provided medical assistance including oxygen, food and warm clothes to protect him from the vagaries of extreme altitude and harsh climatic conditions. It was also informed that a request has been received from the Chinese army about the whereabouts of the missing soldier. As per established protocols, he will be returned back to Chinese officials at the Chushul Modo meeting point after completion of formalities. Amid US-China trade tensions, China has said that it welcomes US companies to actively participate in its market and would strive to create a fair and just environment. The statement by China's Industry Minister comes after Zhao Yaqing, China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, held a video meeting with a delegation of US-China Business Council. Heads of many US companies, including Qualcomm Incorporation and General Motors, took part in the deliberations.
The meeting comes even as tensions between China and US escalated in recent times, especially over restrictions which have affected Chinese companies like SMIC, TikTok, Honor ByteDance, and Tencent Holdings. During the meeting, China tried to project good market prospects amid the news of 4.9% GDP growth in third quarter after it recorded steepest GDP slump in first months of 2020. However, Chinese National Bureau of Statistics warned that growth remained patchy as it missed the expected headline growth. Anshman Mishra, AIN World News, Beijing.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. Australia would be joining the annual naval exercises Malabar 2020 scheduled with the United States and Japan later this year. The exercise being hosted by India would strengthen the coordination between the navies of the Quad countries. The Malabar exercises started in 1992 as a bilateral Indian Navy-US Navy exercise. Japan joined the naval exercises in 2015. Australia will be returning to the joint maneuvers after its participation in 2007 that drew criticism from China. Early voting for the November 3 presidential election has begun in the crucial battleground state of Florida on Monday. A record 28 million Americans have already cast ballots with barely 2 weeks remaining in their campaign. Florida is widely seen as a must-win for Donald Trump. His road to victory becomes razor-thin if he loses the southern state. Biden and Trump would be debating for a final time on Thursday in Nashville, Tennessee. Israel and Bahrain have formally established diplomatic relations after signing the U.S. brokered deal in Bahrain capital Manama. Top officials from the two countries signed 8 bilateral agreements last night. These include a joint communique on the establishment of diplomatic, peaceful and friendly relations. The next step is expected to be the opening of embassies by the two nations. Bahrain is now the 4th Arab country in the Middle East after the UAE, Egypt and Jordan to recognize Israel. Japan hailed an agreement in principle to supply Vietnam with military gear and technology. The two governments pledged on Monday to strengthen security and economic ties amid mounting concerns about China's assertiveness in the region. Addressing the media after the meeting, Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga called the agreement a big step in the field of security for both countries. He said that it is important for all countries concerned not to rely on force or threat but to work toward peaceful resolution based on international law. Bangladesh and India will celebrate former's 50 years of independence together next year. In a statement, the Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen, expressed hope that Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, would join the celebrations in Dhaka. Dr. Momen said that the existing relations between Bangladesh and India have set an example for the world by resolving bilateral issues through dialogue and discussions. Thai police said on Monday they had ordered an investigation of 4 new outlets under emergency measures introduced last week. They have imposed curbs on messaging app Telegram. The move is being seen as an attempt to quell 3 months of protests against the government and monarchy. The move prompted anger from media groups which termed it as an attack on press freedom by the government of Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha. Meanwhile, Thai lawmakers would meet for an extraordinary parliament session to discuss the demands put forward by the protesters. Now let us take a look at the coronavirus update. According to the WHO data, the number of infected cases had crossed 39.94 million worldwide. Wales imposed 2-week lockdown and Slovenia declared a 30-day nationwide emergency amidst rising cases. South African Health Minister has tested COVID positive. Meanwhile, India's national COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 88.26%. The Indian Health Ministry has said that the decline in positivity rate has been brought about by high level of comprehensive countrywide testing, which has crossed 90 million so far. Moving on to sports. In tennis, former world number 1 Britain's Andy Murray has pulled out of this week's ATP Tour event in Germany due to a lingering pelvic problem. In football, former England striker Wayne Rooney on Monday announced that he has tested negative for COVID-19. India is celebrating the 151st birthday anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end this bulletin, let us listen to Vaishnava Jan by artists from Turkmenistan. And with that, we end this bulletin. See you at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.